When I found out my wife was cheating on me with a married man, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I called a private investigator and burned both their lives to the ground. Pause. By the time I was done, he had no wife, no job, no home, and a broken nose. Let me tell you how karma caught up, on my terms. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever dreamed of serving cold, calculated justice to someone who ripped your world apart, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. Because this story, it's revenge served on a flaming platter. It all started in the early 2000s. I was married with two young kids, 4 and 6, still innocent, still trusting. And so was I at the time. But little things started feeling off. My kids, who normally shared cute stories about playgrounds or cartoons, suddenly talked about spending the day with Grandma and Grandpa. A lot. My wife's parents lived a good 90 minutes away. A once-a-month visit made sense, 2 or 3 times a week. That didn't add up, especially when she only worked part-time. I asked her about it casually. She gave me the kind of denial you'd expect from a guilty person. Her words said one thing, but her eyes didn't believe them. And I knew something was wrong. So I did what any man drowning in doubt would do. I started tracking the mileage on her car. Every week, and just as I suspected, she was racking up about 400 extra miles a week. Not for groceries, not for errands, for something or someone else. My gut turned cold. I needed proof. Then one day, fate handed me the key. Literally. She had left a sticky note next to the family computer, her AOL password scribbled on it in her usual loopy handwriting. It felt like opening Pandora's box. But I had to know. I logged in, emails, dozens of them, between her and her college best friend, laughing, gloating about how she was sleeping with one of her high school exes. They talked about the sex, the thrill, and even mocked his wife, calling her fat after having kids. My stomach churned, but I didn't yell. I didn't confront her. I printed the emails, filed them away. I needed everything, the whole truth. A good friend of mine, a cop, connected me with a guy named Ron, a former officer turned private investigator. Ron was methodical, discreet, and damn good at what he did. I gave him everything I had, the emails, her schedule, even her usual excuses. Within a week, Ron had a full report. Times, dates, photos. Her routine was clear: drop the kids off at her parents', have lunch with her high school ex, then disappear into some dingy roadside motel for a few hours before picking up the kids, like nothing ever happened. I looked through the photos, numb. I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being played. That's when I decided she could cheat on me, fine, but I wasn't about to let this other guy walk away like nothing happened, especially when I found out he was married too, with 3 kids. Ron didn't stop at following my wife. He dug into this guy, let's call him Bob. Bob was living the picture-perfect life, married, 3 kids, big house, and working as vice president of sales at a company owned by his father-in-law. Nepotism never looked so smug. He had everything to lose, and I was ready to take it all. First, I hired a divorce lawyer. No drama, no fighting. I was calm and strategic. I knew family court didn't care much about infidelity, but this wasn't just about me. My parents cheated on each other, and the emotional wreckage it left in my childhood was a disaster I refused to repeat for my kids. I had the papers drawn up. Then I gave Ron one final task. On the same day my wife was served, at her workplace no less, I sent Ron to Bob's house, but not for Bob. He handed the full investigative report to Bob's wife, photos, memos, emails, a timeline, proof, everything. What she did with it? That was her decision. But oh, did she do something with it? Within 48 hours, the fallout started. Bob's wife didn't just confront him. She scorched the earth. She cleaned out their joint bank account, packed up the kids, and left him. And then, she told her father, Bob's boss, exactly what kind of sleazeball he really was. The next day, Bob was fired. Not just let go, blacklisted. Word got around. Nobody wanted to hire a disgraced VP who cheated on the boss's daughter and humiliated the family name. And it didn't stop there. The house Bob had lived in, owned by his in-laws, gone, evicted, he had to pack up his life and leave the state in shame, and it got uglier. One day, he showed up at the house trying to argue with his wife, probably begging for another chance. Her brother was there. A fight broke out.
Bob left with a broken nose and a restraining order. From there, it spiraled. Police reports, criminal charges, a stint in jail. Today, I can't find Bob anywhere. It's like he vanished off the map. Last I heard, he left the state and lives a quiet, anonymous life, far from the man who once felt untouchable. His ex-wife, she's thriving. She took a job at her dad's company and eventually took over when he retired. And me, I finalized the divorce. I was civil, never screamed, never fought. My only concern was the kids. I stayed focused, stayed grounded, and kept my dignity. Now that the kids are grown, I have no contact with my ex. Not out of hatred, just nothing left to say. I don't wish her harm, but I don't wish her well either. She chose her path. I just made sure karma got there first. In one move, I took back control. Bob lost his marriage, job, home, reputation, and even his face when that nose broke. He thought he could sleep with my wife behind closed doors and walk away untouched. He underestimated one thing. Me. I didn't rage. I didn't lose control. I planned. And when the trap snapped shut, there was no way out. That's the thing about revenge. When it's clean, calm, and calculated, it hurts the most. Betrayal has a funny way of revealing what people really are. But revenge, it doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be violent. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people destroy themselves, with a little push in the right directions. If that story gave you chills, hit that like button and drop a comment. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories of justice, karma, and sweet, sweet payback. Because trust me, there's plenty more where this came from.